Page 4, Gypsy Love Song. Here we have a love song. It's in the title, I guess it is. There's words you can sing if you want. I ain't singing, but you can. And the melody is the top note of the right hand. Okay, it says... I'd like to point out a few things here and make some suggestions. Starting in the right hand. Last measure, the first line on page 4. The idea is you're going to play the first notes with the 1, 2. Okay. Which you would tend to play the dotted half note with the thumb. It's fine, there's nothing wrong with it. But the next note, if you look, is a D with the thumb again. Now you're between phrases, so it doesn't matter. You got time. You can go here to here. That's fine. But I find it easier if I play the dotted half note with the second finger. So it's the last measure, the first line is here. So I know it's supposed to be connected, but you got a pedal. There's pedal going on. Second line, second measure, I recommend second finger on the half note. Because the first measure is this. Just play it with the second finger, it's there. And that way you can get the F, D with the thumb fourth finger, and then the G, E with 2, 5, and then the next one, the E, C with the 1, 4. I can connect them with the fingers. Isn't that cool? I think it is. It's a bit of a stretch, but it would be good for you. You need to get accustomed to these stretches. They're going to happen. Then you got the same thing going down the fourth line. We're here. That's over on page 5. You're starting out at the beginning with a 1, 5, then a 1, 2, and then a 1, 3. And then the third measure, it is a G natural. C sharp. Sounds a little weird, but that's what's printed. I didn't do it, they did it. Okay. Last line on page 5. Let's look at this a little. Starting out with the thumb, then a 1, 3. The pedal's going to connect this, all right, so don't worry about it. It's 1, 3, 4. So I want the 1, 3, 4 on there, that's melody. I want to play the melody legato if I can. I want to feel the melody, so to speak. It's here. That's the melody. That's what we're after here. So it's 1, 3, 4, 5. And then you have these two little notes, okay? Now they're saying 4, 5 on them. And you play the first little note with the F. And that's with the left hand. You play those together. A lot of people will play those little notes before the beat. I don't recommend it. Play them on the beat. And then a 3, and then a 5. And those little notes, they're saying 4, 5 on them. Yeah. I prefer 3, 5 because I can do the 3, 5 fingers more easily than 4, 5 fingers. And then a 2 on the 8th note C, and then a 1, 5. That's what I'm suggesting. So to clarify all that, all right, the last line, we're starting here, and then here. And the last chord is an arpeggiated chord. It's got the squiggly line. I'm going to play the first note with the C in the left hand. Okay. A lot of people would play the top note with the left hand. Oh. I don't recommend it. Play the bottom note. Now, left hand's just got these broken chord things. And I'm just rotating my weight from one side of the hand to the other. I'm just rolling the hand, and it's a very small movement. I'm exaggerating it here. Keep the keys down, or the fingers down on the keys. You have to keep it soft anyway, because you got to keep everything under the melody. The melody's got to be the loudest, and it says at the beginning it's piano. That's melody, is piano, so everything else has got to be super soft, right? You have a a few little tricky things in the left hand fingering wise, and I want to point those out for you. Second line, first measure. Look at this. So you got a 5, 3, 1. Then you got to go the second measure all the way down to a G. So I recommend you do the 5, 3, 1, but on that second F sharp, use second finger, because that gets you closer. You're not quite there, but you're closer than using third finger. And you're going to use thumb for the F G. Don't have to. If you can reach it, you're welcome to use first. It's good practice. Okay. Last measure, second line. Okay, that throws some people. But, okay, just letting you know it's there. Same thing happens on the last line. First measure, I recommend second finger on the last note there on the first measure, so you can reach the F better, so you can reach the G better, so you can reach something, I don't know. Last measure, they're saying 3, 2, 1. See these 4 chords, this is an extended C chord. The fingering for that is 5, 4, 2, 1. I don't know why they're recommending a 3 there. I would encourage you to use a 4 on the E. Over on page 5, the only thing I want to point out in the left hand there is the last line again. We're back down there. At the first chord, you have an A flat, G flat. Isn't that fun? I recommend a 4 on the A flat, not a 5. Because the next note is a G and you need your 5th finger there. Now, I could slide my 5th finger off, but it's a more secure fingering to use the 4th. Now, I don't want to confuse you too much. Like at the beginning on these rolled chords, you're not using 4th finger on E here. It's not an extended chord. We're not playing the C up above. If we were, yes, we would use 4th finger here. But when you're just doing the triad, the fingering is 1, 3, 5. Phrasing. I think you should follow the words on the phrase. For instance, right at the beginning, they've got the first line in 2 phrases. Right? I don't know why they want it in 2 phrases. Because it's all one sentence. Slumber on my little blah, blah, blah. That's all one sentence. So to me, the first line should be all one phrase. Then the second line is one phrase till you get to the last measure, and then you have pickup notes to the phrase on the next line. And I would connect that. All right, the last measure of the second line, I would connect the B to the C, the next note. Because I'm not going to lead into a phrase and suddenly break. Okay, so you just lead right into it. Third line down, I'll leave it up to you whether you want 2 phrases in that line or 1. If you read the words, hear me, and to me, it could go either way. You decide what you want to do. Now over on page 5, the end of the second line going into the third, again, I would connect those because these notes are lead-ins to what's coming, and you're not going to separate the lead-in from what's coming. It's like, I'm going to hear. No, I'm going to hear. That's the feeling. Now for the pedaling, they're showing overlapping pedaling, and they have that ped similar at simile at the end of the first line, telling you to go ahead and keep doing what you're doing, all right? In other words, overlapping, changing each measure. That's fine for the most part, but I'd like to offer a few minor changes to that. And it goes with the idea that we like to hear a little bit of silence between the phrases, but the left hand is legato throughout. The left hand doesn't have any phrases in it, except maybe at the bottom of page 4, there's a little phrase marked. And that's about it. So the left hand is pretty much, there's no breaks in there, whether you're pedaling or not. It's the right hand that you're going to lift with the phrases. So this first line, you're just going to legato pedal it. You're going to push the notes down, and then the pedal. And then each measure you're going to play the notes and then lift the pedal and put it right back down. Now when you get to the end of the first line, I'm going to lift the pedal with the right hand because I want some silence in the right hand, but the left hand is legato. I'm not lifting the left hand. So the pedal comes up with the right hand, and then when I play the next measure, right after I play the notes, I put the pedal down again. So the last measure of the first line going into the second line is here. At the end of the second line, I'm going to lift the pedal up with the right hand at the end of the phrase. The left hand stays down, it's all legato. And then I'm going to put the pedal down again with the second beat, and I'm going to change it again with the third beat. It's going to be a quick little pedaling in here. So the last two measures of the second line is this way. Because I want to connect this with this. That's all legato. Okay? The end of the second line, I'm going to do it the same way as I did the end of the first line, because it's the end of a phrase. But the left hand is legato. So you just keep doing your thing with the pedaling is reinforcing the melody, really. It's going along with the melody and the phrasing. When you get to the end of the page, there on page 4, the pedal will come up after the first beat and before you play the second beat, because here it's a break in the left hand. There's a little silence there. But then it's connected. The left hand is connected from that point on. It's all legato. Okay. The last two measures of the page 4 is that. Going on, then I'm going to push the pedal down right after I play the notes at the top of page 5. And then at the end of the first line on page 5, it's the same as I did at the end of the lines on page 4. So you're breaking the phrase is all you're doing with the pedal. Now the end of the second line on page 5 is similar to the second line on page 4. So here we can do it, except the left hand is a little more forgiving in this one. So I would recommend on this one that you don't pedal the second beat. You don't put the pedal down until the third beat. Okay, on page 4 you put it down at the second beat to help your left hand be legato. And then we had to change the pedal on the third beat. Well, here we just leave the pedal out on the second. You don't need it. So the last two measures of the second line on page 5 is here. Okay. On the third line down on page 5, if you play those as separate phrases, then you want a little break in the pedal to accommodate the phrases. The left hand is legato. There's no break there. It's here. Right? So I lift the pedal up with the right hand on that dotted half note in the second measure, and then I put it down right after. Actually, I don't put it down until the next measure. I don't need it for that one beat in the second measure. So it's here. I don't put it down until then. It works out fine. And then at the end of the third line, it's another break in the phrase, so you're lifting the pedal. And then the last line, you're legato pedaling it. And lift the pedal up after you play the first notes, and put it down after you play the D again. So the second measure, the last line is here. Okay, that's what I recommend. Now I doubt you need me to play this with you. You can play it all right, but I'm going to go ahead and play it slowly. If you want to play along, maybe one hand at a time, or give you an idea of the pedaling and phrasing and so forth, I'm recommending we'll do that. I'm not trying to perform it for you here. I'm just going to give you an idea of what it sounds like, sort of. This is a slow piece anyway, I don't know how slow. Frankly, I've never actually heard the piece before. It's new to me. But it's kind of fun. It's new music. So here we go. I'll give us 4 counts if you want to play along. Go ahead. Now, I harp this all the time in all my videos, or most of them, and that is bring out the melody. Here it's the top note in the right hand. So at the beginning of this, play the... That's what we want to hear, right? The other note, that's accompaniment. You play that at the same loudness as you're going to play the left hand. Okay. So that takes a little bit of practice, but if you get good at it, really, it's amazing how well it works. 1, 2, ready, go.